Excuse me, what's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be Greenleaf Season 3, Episode 9. So, look, y'all. Whole lot went down in this episode. Greenleaf usually gives you some action-packed stuff. It's not as action-packed as last week with Miss Zora, and the actions at the front gate, honey. But it's giving us a little something. So the episode opens up. We see that we are ready for Bishop's Jubilee. He's got the church all decked out. And Gigi is a little impressed that the bishop pulled it off without Lady May's help. Bishop said, look, you know, I know she did a lot around here, but honey, I can do some things too. And she said, but no, seriously though, Daddy, you need to put some people in place that can do this on a permanent basis. Because, yeah, it was all great that you pulled it out to this week, but that's one Sunday. And I think that Gigi is nicely letting him know, you need to make sure that the church sees that you can do this without her. Because, you know, again, she knows the politics that are going on, and as far as that they really don't want him to stay head of the church after the divorce. But she's not saying that to him, but she's just letting him know, look, you need to really make sure that you look strong and that they understand that you are doing this, that you got this under control. So, you know, he tells her, look, I'm good. Don't you worry about Daddy, you know. He goes on to his office, and Miss Corinne, who he had been fussing about being MIA and being too busy working with Lady May, getting ready for her day with Lady May situation. But she showed up just in time to get the courier, and the divorce papers have come. So, of course, Bishop, he, you know, puts him on his desk, and he's really sort of devastated. You know, it's kind of like that, you know, the realization. We've been talking a lot of shit, but this is real now. This is it. And then we see him with Percy, and he tells Percy that the divorce papers came, and Percy tells him, you know, well, don't dilly-dilly. Go on and sign them papers because you got some living to do. To me, this whole episode, Percy, I feel like, was doing a little bit much to push Bishop. I still am not clear. I ain't cleared Percy on being in cahoots with Rochelle. I have not. I don't know. Something just don't. I would hate to see it happen because I would hate to see Percy portray Bishop that way. But I'm not convinced that him and Rochelle ain't working together. I'm just not. And maybe they're not working together. Maybe Rochelle just put a little piece of penny in his back pocket and he took the money. You know what I'm saying? So then we see Kevin and Aaron. They're there with the baby, with Charity, and you know they look like they're having a nice little visit. And Bishop, you know, he looks like he is fully accepting of Kevin and Aaron's relationship, and he hugs the baby and greets both of them and all that good stuff. You know, he's very gracious. Now, he up in the house like he got permission, like he wasn't just locked out last week. But okay, all right. He's going to visit Sophia. He asked about Sophia, and Gigi had told her that Sophia wasn't doing too well. And so he said, you know, maybe I need to go talk to her. You know what I mean? Let me go talk to my baby. But he runs into them on his way up to Sophia's room. And, oh, excuse me. Oh, Lord. And then Aaron pulls him aside and says, you know, my dad's been trying to call you. He said, yeah, I see he done left some messages. He said, look, my dad has pancreatic cancer. He's being treated, and he's really not doing too well. And he said, so you speaking to your father? He was like, barely. But, you know, I just wanted you to know that he's not. Basically, I'm letting you know that he ain't calling you on no bullshit. He's dying, you know, basically. So the bishop said, all right, I'll give him a call back. Now, this whole episode, we saw Bishop doing something that we haven't really seen him do in a long time. His hand is really bothering him. This whole episode, you see him messing with his hand. You see him taking his medicine. You see him even mention him having Parkinson's. So I don't know if they're going to make this a bigger part of the storyline, or if they brought it in for the purposes of this episode. And we'll get to that Bishop is really dealing with the fact that he's an old man, right? So he goes to talk to Sophia. And Sophia's not as rude with him as she was with other people, but she basically lets him know, yeah, I ain't really feeling God. You know, you can go and take that Bible back. I don't need it no more. Bishop said, no, you hold on to it. You never know. And she said, I just don't understand. You know, how can you... I just don't have no love. I just don't have no faith. Like, it's all gone. Like, I just don't have it. And Bishop tries to talk to her. Bishop says, look, baby. He said, at the end of the day, we all lose everything. It's just a matter of when we lose it and how we deal with it. He said, I'm an old man, and I ain't never going to be what I was. But that doesn't mean that I, going to love God any less, And Sophia is like, look, how you get past the anger, and they had a really good conversation. I believe that she respects her grandfather, and I think she's trying to really come to grips with everything she's feeling. She says she feels like her faith is gone and she just doesn't believe it anymore. But I think she does. She's just really, really angry. Excuse me. She's just really, really angry. So he asked her to come to church and she said, nah, I ain't really trying to do that. He said, look, it's my silver jubilee. He said, and God has put a message on my heart that is just for you. She said, I ain't making no promises, but, I ain't making no promises. So he lets her, he doesn't press her anymore, as far as, making her commit to coming or what have you. But they do have a moment. They have a moment. So Bishop goes on back over to Percy's house. He rolled up in the kitchen. Percy got a prostitute up in the house, honey. And at first, I don't think Bishop knew she was a prostitute at first. He was like, you're Percy's friend. And she said, yeah, you must be the bishop. She said, yeah, he talks about you. And I'm sorry. Oh, my goodness, y'all. Ain't really. And she said, yeah, he talks about you. And then she said something that let you know that she was a prostitute. Something she alluded to about, well, we're done here. Percy's gone wherever he was gone. She said, we're done here, She said, but I can stay a little longer. Bishop said, no, I'm good. You just going to tip on out. I'm good. And then we see Bishop with Jacob. Now, last episode, Jacob, Charity, they was giving Bishop the blues. But in this episode, we see both of them have a moment with Bishop. And I think that's good because, last week, it was almost like Bishop was odd man out. And they were even disrespectful to him, Very flippant, very dismissive of him. But in this episode, it looks like both of them were having some moments. And Bishop is with Jacob, and they with the baby. And Carissa ain't there. And, Jacob said, yeah, I ain't really one of her favorite people right now. And he said, oh, you and Tasha? Jacob said, what you talking about, me and Tasha? He said, clearly I walked in on something last week. And I was like, yeah, I told y'all that last week. Bishop knew what was up. Bishop ain't fall for she lost a friend. He ain't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. He knew what the fuck was up. Jacob tell, nah, I don't do that no more, Dad. I left them ways behind me. Bishop give him the, yeah, I done. You know what I'm saying? He give him the side eye on that. But he goes on to talk about the fact that, him and Carissa just really ain't on the same page right now. With everything with Zora or what have you. And I don't even think they actually said Zora's name, but I think it was just sort of understood that that's what was going on. And he lets Jacob know that the divorce papers came. And Jacob said, did you sign them yet? And Bishop said, no. He said, they just sitting in my briefcase like a bomb ready to go off. And Jacob said, then don't sign them. He said, you have your jubilee, let her have her day, and push them papers aside, and y'all go back into y'all mutual corners, and y'all live to fight another day. He was like, if you ain't ready to sign them, don't sign them. Bishop listened, and Bishop, he's listening to Jacob, which, if you go back to the beginning of season 1, he wouldn't even had that conversation with Jacob. But the fact that they had that conversation, and he actually is even listening to what Jacob is saying. Something else that was very interesting in this episode, there were a lot of trains in this episode, and Bishop, I'll get to that, but Bishop even told a story of a train. But Percy's house is by train tracks, and every time they cut to Percy's house, we see a train going by. And then this scene with Jacob and the Bishop and Woozy, the baby's name is Woozy, he's playing with a train set. So there's something very significant with these trains that are going on in this episode. And I guess it's all connected to the story he ends up telling Sophia, which we'll get to. So let me see Bishop go and have a conversation with Charity. He said, the other day when I walked in on you and the family, you looked like you were kind of having a little bit of a moment. And she said, I was. She said, she said, Kevin and Aaron are buying a house together, and they're even talking about getting married. And Bishop said, well, that's kind of quick, don't you think? She said, yeah. She said, Daddy, I just don't understand that everybody seems to have their happily ever after except for me. And the Bishop said something I thought was very profound. He said, we have to assume that Kevin was very unhappy for a long time. He said, but he's found his happiness now, and you have to understand, basically you have to understand that he's got his happiness now, but he was unhappy for a long time trying to live everybody else's life. And I think it's easy for us to always, he said, and that's what he said, the only thing that matters is Nathan. He said, so if Daddy's happy, then that's good for Nathan. And Charity got it. I think Charity, it sunk in. Charity has come out of her little pity party, it seems like. And then they started talking about the Jubilee and how Bishop, he said, what song you going to sing for me? And I think it was, How Can I Help Somebody or something like that. And he said, can I sing it with you? She was like, can I stop you? And so we see them singing the song. We see his Jubilee. Now, something I forgot. I skipped over it. Let me come back to it. Bishop and Gigi actually had a conversation where Gigi was like, look, Bishop, I heard that you done gave Rochelle some money. I don't trust her. You need to get that money back. And the bishop is like, what are you talking about? He said, aren't you working with her with the defense fund? She said, look, I don't trust her. She said, the only reason why I'm working with her is to figure out what she's doing. She said, because I need to figure out why she is here. There's a reason why she's here, and something ain't up. And for her to be sowing such discourse between you and Mom, he said, oh, no. He said, Rochelle didn't do anything. Your mother's jealousy is what put us here. Gigi said, call it what you want. I don't trust the bitch. Well, that ain't what she said. That's what I'm saying. And Bishop said, look, don't you worry about it. He said, I'm going to get my money back with dividends. He said, she's invested the money. He said, I didn't give her the money. She's investing my money, and my money is good. And I'm like, she playing the we'll get there. Because she playing the oldest trick in the damn book, but we going to get there. So Jubilee is here, and Gigi goes to introduce the bishop. And in her introduction, she talks about how her father's such a wonderful man. He's a man of faith, but sometimes he's a little too trusting. She said, but, I'm going to trust him because he's earned that from us, that he knows what he's doing. And she gave him a really great introduction, but she threw that in there, and he knew what the hell she was trying to say. Now, Sophia came to church, right? And when church was over, she was like, well, she told Granddad, she said, that didn't work. I'm going to go on and bring you that Bible. He said, no, let me get 10 minutes. She was like, look, Dad, Dad, Granddad, you could say what you got to say, but I'm just not feeling it. He said, look, give your Granddad 5 minutes. Just let me get you 5 minutes. She said, what you going to do? He said, I'm going to explain to you the meaning of life. So he brings her into his office, or takes her into his office, and he sits her down in his chair. He said, no, I want you to sit in my chair. So I want you to understand that the view is no different from behind this desk. I see the same thing you see, right? I don't have no special powers. And then he proceeded to tell her the story about being on a runaway train and being with your parents, and you telling your parents, hey, you got me on this crazy runaway train. Are you not in control? And the parents saying, yeah, I got this under control. Don't you worry about it. But you realizing that the train is out of control and that y'all are in danger. So you run up to go talk to the conductor because you're angry. I mean, of course, he gave, he's a lot more flamboyant with the story. But you get to the front of the train, and basically the conductor is God. And God tells you, look, I'm busy right now. I'm trying to maneuver and work this way and bring us to a safe ending. But in the meantime, you go on back and you let everybody know that I love them. And if they need me, they know where to find me. It was a great story. It was a good story. It was so good. Sophia, it ain't moved her a bit. Sophia was just like, yeah, all right, you and your train. I thought for a minute he had her. I did. I thought that he had got her. But then it seemed like it just, I don't know, y'all. That poor Sophia. I just hope that it doesn't get worse before it gets better. Like, I hope she don't go out there and start being a hoe. And you know what I'm saying? Like, because when you lose faith, something happens to your morality. And she's a virgin and all this stuff. I just hope she don't go out there and be hanging out with Zora down to the club and getting high and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, throughout the episode, Percy and Bishop keep having these conversations, and basically Percy is telling him, go on, sign them damn divorce papers and move on with your life. Like, let this shit go. He also told Bishop he needed to go visit Lionel, Aaron's father. He said, you need to go ahead and have that conversation. Bishop was like, why? I want nothing to say to him. And he said, there are people in life that we can, he said, there's some people in life that we can work things out with, and he might be yours. But you really need to go see the man. So, the Bishop and Percy have this moment where he asked Percy, so you don't have no company tonight? And Percy said, look, I can only afford to do that once a week. And Bishop said, what do you do with all your money? And that was another little red flag for me, that maybe Percy is hard up for money, and that's another reason why maybe he would, get in cahoots with Rochelle. But then he said, I'm not talking about money. He said, I'm talking about my self-respect. He said, no matter how well they perform, you don't ever forget that you're paying for it. He said, and at the end of the day, I know I'm not what I used to be, but you got this woman who's throwing herself at you, this young woman. He said, I don't understand why you ain't going to jump on that thing with Rochelle. You ain't got to pay for it, and she really seems to be into you. That's why I just felt like he was pushing it a little bit too hard. Then he goes into the room. That's when we see him taking his medicine, and he looks at a young picture of Percy, and you see him kind of having a moment. So the next day, we see him talking to Rochelle. He's saying to Rochelle, he said, look, what's all this about? Why are you here? What is it? Why are you in my life? What do you want from me? Now, let me tell y'all something about Miss LaToya Luckett. LaToya Luckett needs to be nominated for an Emmy. You understand what I'm talking about? For Best Supporting Actress. Honey, let me tell you something. I don't care if it's a NAACP Image Award, a Black Emmy, the White Emmy, whatever. She plays the hell, I was going to say something else. She plays the hell out of this part. When I tell y'all she flipped that whole damn thing back on the Bishop, hunty, she said, what are you talking about? He said, well, you told me you love me. I'm an old man. Look at me. I'm an old man. My hand shakes. My body ain't what it used to be, and it never will be again. What is it that you want with me? You a young, beautiful woman. You could be out here with every stud in town, but you here with me, and I don't understand it. She said, excuse me? She said, are you accusing me of using you? She said, you and your family are nothing but a bunch of snakes. She said, and I'm sick of it. She said, take out that phone and look at that app that I gave you. Check your accounts. And, of course, his money is through the roof. And that's why I said that's the oldest con in the book. You give me some money, you win the first time, but then, and that's to lure you in to get so you can give me more, and then it's gone. Y'all understand what I'm saying? I don't know the name of all the different cons, but y'all seen that con a million times. Make you think you rented something. So next time he going to check them accounts, the money going to be gone, right? If you know what I know, you better get your money out today. So Rochelle said, so now who was using who? She said, you done got your money to pay off your IRS bill, and I don't have nothing. So who was being used around here? She said, matter of fact, I think I'm being used. She said, and I am sick of this. She said, I'm gone. Honey, the Bishop get the groveling and begging, come back, I'm sorry. I'll never question you again. I'll never doubt you again. I am sorry. Honey, she even got a tear. She even got a tear to fall. Hunty, she played the hell out that. Do y'all understand what I'm telling you? By the time Bishop started off ready to take his money and send her on her merry little way, and by the time it was over with, he was begging her to stay and groveling. And I feel like, I really thought Bishop had some street smarts about him, but the more and more I see this, I'm realizing maybe he don't have as much street smarts as I thought he did. I don't know. Because to me, I just don't know how he's falling for this, but okay. So then he decides he's going to go visit Lionel. He goes to the hospice center. And let me tell y'all something. This scene tore me up. Not the scene with him and Lionel, but the scene before him and Lionel. He comes across a woman crying. And he introduces himself. And he said, ma'am, is there something I can do to help you? And she said, no. He said, well, can I just sit with you for a minute? Do you mind? She said, go ahead, sit down. I feel like I'm going to cry, y'all. I ain't going to cry, though. I'm going to cry. And, he said, so, what's basically, what's going on? And she said, my father, she said, he has cancer and he needs care that I can't give him. She said, and I tried to keep him for as long as I could, but I can't. You know, I work and he needs to be fed. He needs 24-hour care. And she's crying. I mean, she's tore up. And honey, okay. Bishop said to her, he said, oh, what a wonderful father to have touched your life the way that it has, to be loved so much. He said, but you're giving your father the greatest gift. You're making sure that he is in the best place to get the best care. And I think that's what a lot of people have to understand when it comes to hospice and it comes to people dying. We want to hold on to our loved ones, and somewhere society has taught us that if we put them in a care facility, that we're throwing our people away or that we don't care about our family. But sometimes we have to understand that we can't give them what they need. And I've been through that in my family a couple of times. And that's why it tore me up. And those are hard decisions to make. And there is guilt involved in that. When you have to make a decision about care for your family member. And like I said, my family, we've dealt with it at least 3 times in the last 3 years, at least 3 times in recent history that we've dealt with that. And it is hard. It is a hard decision to make. And so that scene, honey, that thing took me out. It did. Because I've been there and I felt it and I know it and I understand it, and I saw my mom deal with it and my aunts deal with it, and I saw my cousins deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is hard. Whew, okay. So then he goes to see Lionel. Now let me tell you something about this hospice. This hospice must be a nice hospice, and it must be some money, because Lionel has a suite, honey. Do you hear me? He has a nice suite, okay? And he looked bad, too. I hope that's medicine. I mean, I hope that's makeup and stuff, because I love me some Tim Reed. But Tim Reed, he looked bad. His face was real hollowed, and he looked bad. He did. He looked like he was dying. I hope it, like I said, I hope it was just makeup, because I love me some Tim Reed. And, you know, Bishop said, you know, you expect a certain amount of mess when it comes with dealing with women. He said, but you never expect it to come from your best friend. And, you know, all he could do was apologize. All he could do was say he was sorry. You know, he didn't try to defend himself. He didn't try to make up nothing. He said, I'm sorry. And he said, you know, this is going to be the last time that we see each other on this side. He said, but I forgive you. And then he left. And, you know, he didn't forgive Lionel for Lionel. He forgave Lionel for himself. You know, he had to let that go. And then we see him in the office, and he pulls out those divorce papers, and he signs them. And he takes them to May, and he tells May, hey, you know, here go your divorce papers. Sign them if you want to. If you don't, that's on you. But I've signed them. And Lady May said, why did you sign them, James? And I'm thinking, y'all played Russian roulette and somebody fucking got shot. That's what y'all did. Y'all played chicken and somebody died. Because you didn't want him to sign them divorce papers, and he didn't want to sign those divorce papers. But y'all backed each other into a corner, and neither one of y'all wanted to give in. And she said, well, why did you sign them? And he said, because honestly, I never had any right to this marriage. I didn't. Now, I don't know what he meant by that. I don't understand that, but that's what he said. So she takes out the papers and she signs them. And both of them are miserable. So he walks back to his office. He looked like he about to break out in tears. And Corinne tells him, you just missed Sophia. He said, really? So in the time that he was fooling with Lady May and them divorce papers, Sophia done came through. And guess what, honey? He goes in his office and that Bible sitting on his desk. It ain't work. The speeding train out of control didn't work. Sophia still don't have faith, and she still doesn't love God. Well, she does. Y'all know what I'm saying. And y'all, that's where it ends, honey. I don't know where this thing is going. I told y'all my prediction was that, but I didn't think they would actually get to the point of divorce. And they ain't been filed with the court yet, so it still ain't final. But I really thought that Lady May once they found out that they would find out what Rochelle was really up to, and then they would all band together as a family to get Rochelle and Tasha and Basie. That's how I thought this was going to break down. Now, I saw the previews for next week. I ain't going to speak too much on it, but I think maybe it's starting to go that way. I think some things are starting to fall into place, but I feel like it's going to end up being the cliffhanger. Like, I don't think we're going to get no resolution this season, which is good. Hope, bad for me because I want to see how it ends, but good, to have people holding on. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.